upon the request of my person, was able to execute much needed repairs to the lights at the sports facilities in St. Peter's and in Middle Region. I would like to clarify that sports facilities that fall where each sports facility falls, because there's been some discussion in the public, oh, why only now? I must indicate that the sports facility or the basketball court at St. Peter's is the property long lease of the Youth Council, which manages the St. Peter's or Rupert Maynard Community Center. The court in Middle Region is private property, which was donated to have this court realized, and it remains in the hands of the owners. It is not government's property. The Youth Council receives a subsidy through the Youth Department, which covers maintenance, management of the center, insurance, and a minimal amount for electricity and water. As such, they are the ones actually responsible for maintenance. We understand that this is a challenge, and therefore, from time to time, government has stepped in and assisted, as we have over the weekend. So the ones that are private, there are actually several. John Cooper is not of government's property either. The one in Middle Region, and most of the others are in government responsibility. The budget for maintenance of sports facilities has been mainly allocated to the National Sports Institute. However, we were still able to utilize some of those funds that we would normally transfer to them to be able to execute the needed repairs. Also brought to our attention was the property in the Dutch Quarter area, close to the Martin Luther King School, that would also fall within government long lease land belonging to government, or that one I wasn't able to ascertain whether, oh yes, it is government long lease land. So the sports department is also looking at the replacement of bulbs at that facility. We do understand that with the shortage of funds and the tightness of our budget, that we do not always react in a timely manner, but we encourage the general public to inform the sports department, especially when it pertains to the government properties, that they be maintained properly with the funds that we have. So I just wanted to update the general public on that. We are looking now at the other facilities as well, to be able to ascertain how many we can actually get done within this 2016 budget year.
Life is a journey full of connections. You're in safe hands even when life starts too soon. You don't have to miss a single beat. When a bad hair day makes you sad, just sharing can bring you joy and more to come. They take the plunge, turn fear into faith, while you capture those beautiful moments. In the game of life, it's family that counts. They'll be there even when you lose. We all have our moments of reflection and hope. And when you feel you're losing everything in life, we're there, because there's more to come. When life starts too soon, you don't have to miss a single beat. We're here to connect you and share life. Telcel, when you want more.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Need a loan that's quick and easy. Island Finance. Up to 50,000 guineas really easy. Island Finance. For education, a renovation, that's no problem. Yes, it's true. That's not all. They're quick and friendly too. Island Finance. Appliances, vacations, even fix your car. You can depend on Island Finance.
The High Council of State and their functions in relation to government and parliament.
Our Constitution recognizes 4 High Councils of State, the first one being parliaments, and that has to do with their democratic legitimacy. We select our representatives that go into parliament. Today, when you voted for your representatives who will sit in parliament. We also have the Council of Advice, where I work, and the General Audit Chamber and the Ombudsman. All these high councils of state are to safeguard our democracy and to ensure that the checks and balances that we have anchored in our Constitution are brought to light and are safeguarded and are protected. Those high councils help the players to check each other and make sure that they're in balance. The General Audit Chamber, for instance, audits the finance of government. The Ombudsman, she helps to mediate conflicts between citizens and governments. Another function that she has is that she can present cases in front of the Constitutional Court if she wants to check the validity of that draft legislation that has come into effect. And the Council of Advice that I said earlier, we provide advice to government and parliament about draft legislations. So when parliament receives such, for instance, a draft legislation that has passed through the advice of the Council of Advice, they will read the advice and they will say, hey, these are certain concerns that the council have raised. Have they been adopted in the draft legislation? And if so, if not, why not? So government or parliament or the member of parliament who's presented their initiative or government will have to say, hey, these are the concerns that were raised by the Council of Advice. We've adapted our draft legislation accordingly, or if they haven't, why they haven't adopted their draft legislation.
These High Councils of State we've had since 2010. How long have you been working with the Council of Advice?
I've been working now for over a year. I started at the 1st of July last year, 2015.
And your experience, Jessica, I know that your function is very confidential, but on the surface, that you can tell us, based on the way the kingdom set up the country, and that we have to have these high councils. Are they being utilized in the capacity intended? If not, is it so that because of bureaucracy, or is it that ignorance? Because it's something new.
I think that point that you raised about it being something new is definitely something that has had an effect on how well the function of these high councils of state function within our democracy. But we have seen that awareness is growing. We see more awareness within our parliament, within our government, especially within our government. We've done a little test to see how well our advice is taken, and actually government in 90% of those times really do adapt their legislation accordingly. We've even seen that different MPs would reference to the council and their advices. So I think that the players are becoming more aware of all the function of these high councils and are utilizing them to the best of their abilities.
Not only the function, but the benefit, because without disrespect to anyone, in our democracy, we are able to elect anyone to our parliament, to be a member of our parliament. Doesn't necessarily mean that they have the knowledge necessary to pass legislation, etc., that is necessary. So in having the high councils with professionals who are able to perform the three-way test to ensure that the desires of the parliament in the direction that it would like to take the country, that it's doing so in a legal framework.
I would have to agree with you in a sense, because in my opinion, when you know the function, only then you can understand the benefits that it has for you. And so I do believe that our function and what we can bring to the table are understood by the parties and are being used to the best of their abilities.
Oh my, what an inventory list, and so unnecessary. But wait, your home contents are all insured by Be Sure. That means that you determine the amount you want to insure. No inventory list, no hassle.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
Bob, I can understand why you're parking so carefully. Of course, when you can get 80% discount on your Be Sure car insurance. But that's overdoing it, Bob.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
Yeah!
The newest and latest products are already in St. Martin, available at the Fresh Market for only a few days. Come and check out the spectacular steam iron, the amazing Thompson sharpener to recover the edges of your old blade. Convert any regular blender to a professional extractor with the filter. Save toothpaste and keep your toothbrushes in order with the toothpaste dispenser. Mopping your house just became easier with the Magic Mop. And ladies, get ready to sweat with the Slimming Shapers vest. All this and more available for only a few days from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Sunday at the Fresh Market in Madame Estate.
Well, the complete project originally was, I believe, 4.2 million. The first stage, I believe, they have calculated an amount, 1 point something. I don't want to, I don't have the presentation in front of me, for the first part, so the training, the acquisition, etc., for this group. Of course, I am an impatient person, but the project people hold me back in the reins if you have to go in steps. So it would not go, we expect it to be fully implemented in 3 years. So by 2016, so the first part now, 2017 to 18, and we will be continuously updated on how that is done. Once the terms of reference is released, etc., of course, what's something that I have reiterated to them, and that the committee has people on it that has the IT knowledge. They've done the research as to the cost, the market value of what we want. So we are hoping to really avoid the unnecessary inflation of cost when it comes to people putting in their bids. And if we see that they come in way over what is expected, then we will redo the bid, because we are not going to accept what we know is inconceivable.
And this funding, the roundabout 4.2 million, that's all government money?
It is
Or is it
money that was allocated specifically for that. So it's not in the general coffers of government.
Right.
It cannot be used for
Anything else.
other than this project.
And-
There's a special account that it is sitting on, so it is not in the general coffers of government.
And it includes, of course, not only giving the students or the pupils training in ICT, but it also includes training the teachers, because
It
without the
starts
teachers...
with training of the teachers. It starts actually with training of management and teachers.
Okay.
Some of the areas where I believe we failed in the past, especially in changing our education system, we started with the teachers. And the persons that are supervising them or have to manage and check on quality and make sure and evaluate were trained at the end. This is totally unacceptable to us. ICT is something where if you do not buy into it, it will be a huge investment and it goes to waste. Most of the computers, etc., that have been bought, training has been done, and they end up sitting there like elephants in the corner of the room. So many of the schools had 3 and 4, I believe 4 initially when they were trained the last time, 4 computers per classroom. There was supposed to be an ICT center in each classroom. The teachers were supposed to also have one. I don't think it ever got to the point that the teachers got theirs. So it ended up failing. Those teachers that are innovative of themselves and invest in their own equipment were able to still make use of it and are still making use of it. So they're actually targeting right now, and why they're only looking at 2 per school, really looking at those teachers who are already ready to go, open, ready, and hopefully in that way, once the others see it, how it can be utilized and can visit that classroom and see the engagement of the children, because these 21st century learners are going to surpass or have surpassed us in their development in that area. The way they use tablets and iPhones and other smartphones as compared to the general public adult over 40, I would say, population. Some of us will be put to shame. So they can probably teach us a thing or two. So we really want to first focus in these next 3 months on training of management and teachers, so that come January, once the equipment is here in December, that's what we're aiming for, that January we can start to see the usage in the schools. We already have 2 schools that have, through DigiKids, gone that way. So the Hillside Christian School, the Seventh-day Adventist schools have all done that, and that was through funding, not through government. And I've seen footage of the engagement of the children. I've seen footage of how they're excited to write stories, project them onto, the screen, make them come alive. I was shown some things in my presentation that blew me away. I almost want to run back to the classroom, because it will be so exciting to be a teacher, to engage the students in this way. So we're very, very happy that we are able to get this going. It will be a great, great thing for the children of St. Martin. Of course, bandwidth has to be expanded. We're in discussion with Telem about that, to make it viable, because otherwise, and of course, we've had a discussion, downloads in the afternoon, in the evenings, and everybody won't be able to do downloads in the morning. So the preparation for teachers and having your stuff ready to go is also very, very important. This does not mean we're moving away from learning the basics. What we're saying is we're going to be using what is innovative to enhance and to prepare our students for the world that they will inherit.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
1,
2,
3,
4. This is how common it is to develop a mental illness. 1 out of every 4.
4,
4.
4. But there is hope. Today, most mental illnesses can be managed and treated. Visit your general doctor if you feel concerned about your thoughts and behaviors or have some difficulty dealing with some of life's issues.
If you have been diagnosed and are suffering from a mental illness, keep in mind these 4 points to help you manage your mental health.
1. Get regular checkups with your general doctor.
2. Stay on your treatment plan to prevent relapses.
3. Find a strong support group in your family and friends.
And 4, never be afraid to ask for help and look out for the warning signs of your illness.
Remember, you are not alone. We are as close as one.
2,
3,
4.
Learn about mental health illness by going to the Mental Health Foundation's website at www.mhf-sxm.com.
At our regular TV program, we used to have the Avias Carnival Corner. We're going to have now Clark's Calypso Corner, where every week we'll be featuring one or more Calypsonian up until the Calypso finals. So people could learn more about their Calypsonians. Who is Kaiso Brat, for instance? What's his real name? What does he do in life? What is his accomplishments in the Calypso arena over these years? You know, who's King Bobo? Who's King Timo? Who's the Mighty Dow? You know, who are these people? Who's the Mighty Pepper? You know, so we will be profiling these individuals on a weekly basis throughout the media, on our page, on our website, on TV and radio, and in the newspapers. These Calypsonians are going to be exposed from now until the Calypso competition. We also going to use things like the tent and so on for them to expose their music. They can perform the music. It would also be good for people to see Calypsonians in action outside of a competition, when they could actually perform for you. And I think that is important, because many people have seen Pepper or Chipman or any other Calypsonian many times, but always in a competition. And when you're in a competition, you are restricted to certain rules. But when you are performing, you are free to give it your most, your best. And I think if people see them in that prospect, they will get a different understanding of what Calypso and what a Calypsonian really is. So we will be profiling the Calypsonians. We'll be profiling the programs also. We have the Clark's Carnival Corner coming up, and we're going to have the Calypsos played on the air. We're going to talk to every local radio station to play the local music. And not just play the song, but to identify the song, the name of the song, what year it was sung, who sang it, you know. And when we say, for instance, a Chipman, who's Chipman? What's his real name? Where is he from? All that information will be given to Calypso fans and Calypso lovers, and of course the general public, so that people know who these Calypsonians are and what have they accomplished. Just to let you know, people don't know this, but Kaiso Brat celebrated his 40th year in Calypso in 2016. He started in 1976 with the song Welding Torch, you know, and some of the older folks would remember that song. And for King Bobo has been in the competition from the late 70s, you know, won his first crown in 1980, you know, and it would be good for people to know who are these people. We have second generation Calypsonians, Baker Jr., for instance, His Majesty Baker Jr., Fish the Mega Boss. These are second generation Calypsonians. These guys' fathers were Calypsonians, you know. This year in the 2017 Calypso competition, we have a father and son competing against each other. Mighty Calix will be competing. He signed up. And his son, young Calix, the protege, is also competing. So these are things people have to know. It's part of our Calypso history, and we, of course, will be bringing that Calypso history to the people. And people might think, well, what's all of this? But once you get that information about your own people you pass on the street every day, you will realize how interesting this information is. And when we talk about what these people have been singing about, if you take a man like Kaiso Genius, Victor Richardson, in 1975, singing about it was fire in the town. What fire? What burned down? That's our history. When you hear that in 1974, the government administration building on Front Street was burned down, the only record we have of that right now is that song by Kaiso Genius. So the Calypsonian is also a historian. So it's good to hear about them and hear from them. So we will be profiling them. It will be on our website, on our Facebook page, and of course on the program, our TV program, which will be called Clark's Calypso Corner. And people can actually see who these people are and what they have done over the years.